In this video, I'll discuss the location of the main endocrine glands and the hormones associated with them. We'll start with the pancreas. This gland is located in the upper abdominal area and it has both exocrine and endocrine functions. Most pancreatic cells produce digestive enzymes, and there will be more on that in the digestive system unit. So here we'll focus on the pancreas's endocrine role, which is to produce insulin and glucagon. There are islets of Langerhans scattered throughout the pancreas, which contain alpha and beta cells. The beta cells are responsible for producing insulin, the hormone secreted after a meal. Glucagon is produced by alpha cells, which release the hormone during the fasting state. In other words, when you have not eaten for a while. This is important information about insulin, which will be released by the pancreas shortly after eating a meal. It is considered to be a hypoglycemic hormone, which means that its release and circulation in the blood will lower blood glucose levels. Insulin is needed to deliver glucose to the cells that need it, virtually all cells. Insulin will also promote the storage of fats and amino acids from a meal that was eaten. It will also promote the storage of glucose. Remember, the liver and skeletal muscle tissue are two areas where glucose is stored as glycogen that can be converted later to glucose when it is needed. Insulin levels will peak at about 45 minutes after eating and return to a pre-meal state in 2 hours. Glucagon is considered to be the opposite of insulin in that it is a hyperglycemic hormone, meaning that it will increase levels of glucose circulating in the blood. Glucagon promotes the breakdown of stored glycogen, fats, and proteins. Circulating levels of glucagon are highest during the fasting state. I'm not talking about a true fast here, just the extended time between meals. However, it is interesting to note that there are studies showing if a person goes on a fast for days, there is a sharp peak in the levels of glucagon on day 3. The thymus is an important gland during embryonic development and atrophies early in life. It is responsible for the production of thymosin and correlates directly with programming T cells, which are a type of immune cell. During embryologic development, the thymus and T cells are needed for self-recognition. That is, that the body can recognize its own cells. When the body starts to erroneously attack its own cells, that is an autoimmune condition. Adrenal glands are also called suprarenal glands because they lie just above each kidney. There are 2 parts, an outer adrenal cortex and an inner adrenal medulla. The picture on this slide gives you a good idea of their location, and the image on the right shows the capsule, which is the fibrous outer layer, the cortex, and the medulla. The adrenal cortex mainly produces mineralocorticoids and glucocorticoids. These are both types of steroid hormones. Other hormones that it produces are androgens, a type of sex hormone. I'll start with a mnemonic for the adrenal cortex. You may remember that a mnemonic is a way to remember something. The way to remember which hormones are produced in the adrenal cortex is from outside in, is salt, sugar, sex. The salt refers to the mineralocorticoids, aldosterone. This hormone will be discussed in multiple units throughout the semester. The connection between the salt mnemonic and the hormone is that aldosterone promotes the reabsorption of salt in the body. In other words, it'll keep salt in the body versus losing it in the urine. Aldosterone plays a huge role when blood pressure is low, and many systems are involved in this process. The next deepest layer of the adrenal gland produces cortisol, which is the glucocorticoid. The mnemonic sugar helps to remember this one. Cortisol is a hyperglycemic hormone as it will increase blood sugar levels. Most people associate cortisol with the hormone released during stress, and it is an essential part of our body to be able to manage long-term stress. However, if the stress is prolonged for too long and not well managed, high levels of cortisol can wear the body down and increase blood pressure, suppress the immune system, and contribute to developing diseases such as diabetes and atherosclerosis. The main androgen or sex hormone produced by the final layer of the adrenal cortex is DHEA. You may have even seen DHEA listed on supplements. It is a precursor hormone for testosterone in men and estrogen in females. You are already familiar with the hormones produced in the adrenal medulla, which are norepinephrine and epinephrine. Both can act as neurotransmitters and as hormones. These hormones help the body respond to stress. They are hyperglycemic hormones, so the similar effects will result as what was discussed with the other hyperglycemic hormones. If you dissected a brain, you've seen the pineal gland as it shifted to one side or the other after a slice was made down the longitudinal fissure. This gland produces melatonin, an important hormone involved in the sleep cycle. In addition, children who do not have a properly functioning pineal gland may undergo precocious puberty, meaning early onset of puberty. The rhythms that are listed on this slide are involved in various cycles the body undergoes. It may be that this is what a biological clock refers to in some aspects. The thyroid gland is located in the throat, just below the larynx, which is the voice box. If we look at the histology of the thyroid, you'll see follicles. These are sacs filled with fluid, and those sacs are lined by simple cuboidal epithelium. Follicular cells produce and secrete the two main thyroid hormones, T4, thyroxine, and T3, triiodothyronine. Of the two, T3 is the bioactive form. Thyroid hormone has widespread effects on the body, regulating metabolism, body temperature, growth, and development. The thyroid has its part in a very important regulatory system known as the hypothalamo-hypophyseal thyroid axis. You may be more familiar with the blood calcium balancing hormone, calcitonin. This hormone returns minerals to the bone by promoting osteoblastic activity. This is accomplished by a negative feedback mechanism along with the parathyroid glands. Calcitonin is secreted by C cells. That brings us to the parathyroid glands. There are 4 of them, and they lie on the posterior side of the thyroid gland. They secrete PTH, parathyroid hormone. PTH targets tissues such as bones, kidneys, and the intestines to increase blood calcium levels in the body. Calcium needs to be regulated closely due to its importance in many biological functions, including muscle contraction. PTH will cause osteoclasts to break down bone tissue to release stored calcium into the blood. Ovaries are female gonads. They produce both estrogen and progesterone, and this is the location of follicular and oocyte development. Both hormones are involved in the menstrual cycle that typically lasts 28 days. Though progesterone is released during this cycle, it has a very large role in maintaining pregnancy. Testes are male gonads. Testes produce sperm and the hormone testosterone. Testosterone gives males their secondary sex characteristics such as deepening of the voice, muscle mass, and hair growth. Much more will be discussed about the last 2 slides in the reproductive system unit.